First of all, thanks to Hazard Network for inviting me again here. As I was speaking yesterday, I think this is one of the most wonderful meetings I ever attend, and I'm happy to be here again. A few years back, Hilda told me this is the largest gathering of health and safety reps on the Northern Hemisphere. I think she said there's a bigger one or a similar one in Australia, is it?
Yes.
But we don't count Australia as one, so I think you're the best. I think it's amazing, it's inspiring every time I come here and to see the enthusiasm in this conference room. And this also inspires us in Asia and has inspired us for the past decade or more. You know, the wonderful activists from Hazards Network have built links with Asia. And my presentation today is going to be about how we are going to institutionalize those links further to build a global network. So, when I came here and what I've been learning here in past 1.5 days, like what I understand about the situation of OSH in UK, I mean, a few points. People continue to die due to unsafe workplaces in large numbers, and numbers vary. I'm going to go into that in detail later into my slides, but it seems HSE numbers are just 2,000 to 3,000 or 4,000, but then what is estimated by the Hazards Network is around 50,000 people dying every year due to work-related reasons in the UK. Yet they remain invisible and unrecognized. The regulatory framework is under attack, or whatever the gains the labour movement had achieved here through years of struggle is being lost here, and which is not good news for us in Asia and Africa and other places, because we haven't reached to that stage yet. Corporate crimes go unpunished, you know, people dying at workplaces willfully, you know, those are willful murders, but none of the employers is ever prosecuted. Victims do not get compensation. The road to compensation is very difficult, and they don't get just compensation ever. So this is some things which are here in UK, but this is very similar what happens in other places. So why do we need a global network? Yesterday we had a workshop where Omana and Kathy were there, and we were discussing with a group of people, why do we need a network? We are thinking, you see, global capital is highly mobile, and at any time in history of the industrial world, its mobility has reached its peak to a level that nation states seem irrelevant in front of global capital. So a company can move from UK to Bangladesh to India to Africa like this. And nation states, those borders are immaterial to them. Now same thing is happening other side. Like Tata can buy Land Rover in UK, or Tata Steel is manufacturing here. They can go, nation states for capital don't make that much things. But for workers and for labor organizing, we are still bound by national laws. We can organize only as per trade union acts in different countries. So we are fighting a global capital which is highly mobile and which is bringing down the labor standards wherever it goes. In fact, our states are begging for this mobile capital, please come, invest, we will lower everything. There won't be any OSH standards, there won't be any environmental standards, as long as you please invest in our country. This is the new neoliberal growth which we are talking about. So, in that kind of a world, how do we build an organization that can deal with this highly mobile global capital when the labor is getting weaker and weaker? So, also manufacturing is done through global network controlled by TNCs, you know, subcontract manufacturing happening same time in multiple countries, then being assembled at a place, then being sold. So this is done by transnational companies, but we haven't organized our health and safety, to deal with this new picture, new emerging scenario. At this point, I'm also going to talk a little bit about Asia, what has been the changing dynamics with respect to Asia. Post-2008 economic crisis, a new picture was emerged. A new picture emerged which said that Asia, shining consumptive Asia, was the global savior. It was being portrayed, the world came out of economic crisis due to Asia. And Asia is the manufacturing hub of the world, is being portrayed wonderfully. What is important to see? These are some of the FDI inflows, and Asia attracts, in short, Asia attracts the largest FDI. You can see there is Europe, Latin America, North America. Asia in 2014 attracted $465 billion, which is highest. But what has changed in past few years? Asia is also a major source of outward FDI. So in the past, Asia was a source of inward FDI. People would invest in Asia. But now Asia is increasingly investing outside. And as you see, Asia is one of the largest investors, especially the East Asia sector, China, Korea, Taiwan, that section. So now, the new reality is Asia is investing in Asia now and elsewhere. So, these are just some figures. I'm not going to go into this in detail, but what is happening as an outward investment means that there are major Asian transnational companies that are emerging as big players, and with that the health and safety records of those countries are not good. We know for sure about Samsung, lots of workers dying in Samsung. Same situation, very bad working condition in many of these Asian-led transnational companies. At the same point, I want to emphasize, with this kind of movement of capital, it also employs workers at contract, zero contracts, what we have seen here. Same thing is happening in Asia. So accumulation is at the maximum. Anytime in the history of capitalism, the accumulation is at maximum. If I just give you a figure, in 2008 financial crisis, everyone was saying, oh, we are losing a lot of money, and states came to protect the banks and many of the companies. Now, if you see, the multinational companies have continued to accumulate, and they have cash reserve of some 5,000 MNCs is reached around 4.4 trillion US dollars. This is the cash reserve they have right now, which is more than double that of 2008 pre-crisis level. Just see what they did to labor after 2008 for worker organizing. They said, oh, we can't hire workers, we can't do this because there is crisis. But look at 8 years down the crisis, they have doubled their profits. There is a cash reserve of $4.4 trillion. But what has happened to workers' welfare? Our bargaining power has gone down, health and safety has become worse, more workers are dying, people are helpless, the jobs are not secure, there's a high level of insecurity. And in Asian context, dispossession, people are just forced out of rural areas to urban areas to work in these newly emerging factories. And Asia, the paradox of Asia is, on one hand, it's very rich because there are few companies, few individuals, few elites that are becoming very, very rich and powerful. Some of the richest people in the world are living in Asia right now. But at the same time, we also have a very poor, a majority of working poor in the world are living in Asia right now. This is some of the pictures I want to show what is happening. Dispossession, people are forced. This is a picture from Cambodia where due to land concessions, economic land concessions, companies are allowed to take over the land of people to build factories or build plantations. And this is resulting, in Asia, there is right now the largest ever human migration from rural to urban areas. In China, only there are 300 million people, migrant workers, which is like the whole population of the United States is on the move in China. Same thing in India, same thing in many Asian countries. But this is nothing new. This is what has happened in Europe maybe 100 years back. Now, the same things are being repeated in Asia and possibly Africa. This is China. And then, I want to show you two factories. And I'm sure all the people in this room at some point of time have been connected to these two factories. This one is a shoe factory in Dongguan. It's called Yunyuan. But it manufactures for all the brands you see up. It's Nike, Adidas. It is a factory with 80,000 workers. And at some point of time, you must have worn shoes which was made there. This is where migrant workers end up, working for long hours, sweatshops. And this is the other factory. And if you didn't wear the shoes from that one, I'm sure your phone came from this factory. This is Foxconn. They make iPhones, they make iPads, and they make HPs. There are 100,000 workers in one Shenzhen factory. This is how they work. This is where all those rural migrants on the trains end up. And this is how capital is squeezing all the vulnerable women to make profits. But majority of workers still work in the informal sector. In Asia, most of the workers are still in the informal sector. And I'm using this picture because this is how construction happens in India. You can see those big malls being built by women like this. It's very unfortunate. I mean, it's not that they can't pay them. The concept of paying workers doesn't exist yet because there's not unionized strength yet. The unions are weak, so capital can do whatever they want. And these are some more pictures of informal workers working in very hazardous conditions, getting exposed at work. Children working in Bangladesh, in India, many other places. In fact, India recently revised its Child Labour Act, which allows children now to work in hazardous conditions. This is Cambodia. This is how, they come from a pristine rural environment. Many people say, oh, by industrialization, the poverty is going to go away in the rural poverty and they're going to work in factories, have stable jobs. That's not happening. They were impoverished in rural areas, but now there are new forms of poverty being created. And in addition, there is no hazardous conditions. They're working in very bad working conditions. But what I want to emphasize, as I said, why we need to network, why we need to build a global network, because this is something that we have already passed here. I was looking at some pictures in UK. This is how it was here, and this is how we are repeating history again. Some pictures of working conditions here, they look very similar. The only difference is the time. Time was there, people fought here, unions fought here for better working conditions. We haven't reached to that stage, so there is a need for us to come together and form this network. Okay, on health and safety. We now, ILO has estimated that there are about 2.35 million people die of work-related accidents or diseases annually around the world, and it's estimated in Asia 1.1 million people die. But you see, in Asia, like UK, we don't have data. Like, no country reports. It's such tragedy. If you want economic data, you can get it quarterly, how much was invested. So easy for me to go and find economic data for any country, Bangladesh, Cambodia. But if you want to know how many people have died in making that economy viable or function, you don't get that data ever. Nobody keeps that data. Workers are not considered as important, or the deaths of workers is not considered important. And if we put on the environmental health, then it says UNEP says more than 6 million people die due to environmental reasons. So together it's more than 7 million people. But then I have some more. Okay. So responses in Asia is, this is how Indian state acts, but I guess it's the same everywhere. We just deny. There's no problem because we didn't see the data. Indian government says, oh, our health and safety is better than Denmark because they reported only 222 fatal accidents, and for a population of 1 billion, that's a very low rate of accidents. It's better than Denmark. What is your problem? What are you talking? So that's what the Indian government says. So then yesterday I was thinking about if I use hazards data. Like, Hilda, am I correct? You estimate that 50,000 people died with a population of around 62 million. If I use the same data with same health and safety conditions as UK and extrapolate it for, let's say, China with 1.4 billion people, which is like 20 times the population, that would mean 1 million people dying in China and India. 1 million alone in China and India. If we have similar working conditions as you have here, they don't exist in Asia right now. You have better. They're getting bad, but still they are better. So, figure of 1.2 million projected by ILO, if I use the more ground figures from Hazards Network, so we may have around 4 million people dying in Asia every year due to work. If I use your data.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking last night.
Use my data.
Yes, that is the people's data. That's our people's. 4 million people. Can you believe it? This means it's safer to go and fight in Syria. You may survive. But if you're working in Asia, you're sure to die. So, okay, 3 minutes, okay. I'll just close it. Just going back to the network is like, we know now the fight can be taken, because the biggest struggle we face globally, in Asia, in Europe, in UK, is invisibility of the victims, or not recognizing there is a problem, putting your head into the sand. So we think there are missing, like if I see UK data, you have 4,000 is the official figure for the people dying due to work-related diseases, or 13,000. So there is missing 40,000 people here, which we don't recognize every year. They don't exist, but they are somewhere getting sick, getting their families. They become the most marginalized section of people. Same way in India and China, there are much bigger numbers. So there's a bigger pool of people who are getting sick, who are getting injured, who are dying at work, still not recognized. So we have a big problem in our hand of recognizing first, people acknowledging, yes, there is a problem. We have a bigger problem in hand. So the Asian network was a victim. So we thought the best way is to organize victims, so that they say, look, we are here. We are the proof. And in '93, there was a fire in Thailand, in the Keto factory, very similar to the Triangle Fire in New York. Doors were locked, women had to jump to their death because they couldn't escape. The fire doors were locked. That was the initiation of the Asian network. But till 2012, we had moved from accidents towards looking into diseases. But from 2012, there was again accidents, like fire accident in Pakistan, then Tazreen fire again, Jilin in China, Rana Plaza, which killed more than 1,000. So now we have gone back to firefighting, Health and safety in Asia is only about major accident prevention. And major accidents only kill 10 to 15% of workers. Majority die of occupational diseases. We have not touched it yet. And we have been drawn 50 years back just because of this nonsense. Fire doesn't kill people. The doors that are locked kill people. The management kills people. It's not fire that kills people. More than 100 years from the Triangle Fire, we should understand. Nobody should die of fire accidents. This is simply not acceptable. We should be moving to different things. Now, Global Network, European Work Hazard Network, which you have here, ANRO is the Asian network. There is similar QUASH network in United States, Africa and Latin America. We need to come together. We need to form a global grassroots movement which demands recognition of these people who are missing on the data. This is not just data, these are families, these are kids who have lost their father, their mothers. You can't just say, oh, they don't exist. We want recognition, we want justice, and we want a work that is dignified and doesn't injure or hurt people. So this is what this network, alongside the international labor movement, should work together, and that's our vision for this network. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sanjiv. That's absolutely brilliant, and that is what we need.